the third talk I've done on improvisation. And I wanted to give a little more practical advice on how to improvise. So say one of the good ways to get started with improvising is take a simple chord progression. So say maybe 2 chords. Let's say E minor to A7. And just take those 2 chords and build lines based upon those 2 chords. So if I had E minor to A7, I'd be playing an E Dorian, which would be this. That's not that, but so it's basically like a minor scale, but with a sixth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be a regular sixth. That would be your raised sixth. So it would look like this. There's your first note. So you basically want to take 2 chords and see what you can mess around with in those 2 chords. And you can even, within those 2 chords, use your pentatonic scale, use your minor scale, maybe not exactly like a minor, but a minor, just like a slightly altered minor. That's the way I think of Dorian. And see what you can find. Also learning your chord voicings in different spots on the guitar. So this would be, if I play the open E here, this would be like a E7, 9. And then to an A7. And within those 2 chords, you can end up kind of doing a lot of stuff. You do a lot of passing tones. Mixing some blues lines. Yeah, that was kind of what my advice was to take 2 chords, find out what scale those 2 chords are in. So if I was to do E minor to A minor, it would just be an E minor scale. A little bit different. So, short live stream. I don't know. That's probably all I wanted to say about that. So, pick 2 chords, learn your scales, pick 2 chords to fool around with, move chord shapes around, find as many ways to play those 2 chords as you can. So in the opening example, E minor 7 to A7. There's an E minor 7. Do it there. Do it there. Do it there. And then start to move your shapes around. See what you can reach to find. So if you're doing an E minor here, see where you can maybe reach a pinky out and see what notes you can reach. That doesn't quite work. I don't want it to become, unless you want that sound. Thank you from Korea. E minor 7, 11. So it's kind of good. Pick 2 chords, fool around with it. I'm a composer. I've got a bunch of music available. Check me out on Spotify, Apple Music. Yeah, I've got a string quartet, piano sonata, a lot of violin, some violin music, a violin viola duet I rather like. Hold on, joining from Pismo Beach. What's up, California? I may or may not be in California myself. And then again, so like I mentioned in the beginning, pick 2 chords, play around with them, or just pick 1 chord and see what scale you can muster in that chord. Obviously, I'm using E as an example, E minor as an example, because E is the greatest key. Everybody knows that. E minor is the greatest key of all keys. So, yeah, that's it. If anyone has any questions, feel free. I do like the Grateful Dead. Also a Dead fan, but I will not be playing any of them. I got no job. All right, that's all.